The air hangs heavy in the dimly lit room, thick with the scent of aged whiskey and polished oak. A man leans back in a leather chair, his fingers tracing the rim of a glass, the amber liquid catching the faint glow of a chandelier above. His eyes, sharp and unyielding, scan the room, not the faces, but the spaces between them, the subtle shifts in posture, the fleeting glances that betray intent. Across the table, a woman laughs, her voice a melody that cuts through the murmur of the crowd. She tilts her head, her hair catching the light like a cascade of silk, and for a moment, the room seems to pause, as if everyone senses the unspoken duel unfolding. He doesn't smile. He doesn't need to. His presence is a calculated force, a chessboard where every move has been planned 3 steps ahead. She meets his gaze, her eyes narrowing just enough to signal she's playing too. The tension is electric, a silent war waged in glances and gestures, where victory isn't loud or obvious. It's a quiet surrender, a shift in power so subtle only the players notice. This isn't a movie scene. It's not a novel. It's a moment you've seen, maybe lived, in a bar, a boardroom, or a fleeting encounter on a city street. It's the dance of attraction, where the stakes are higher than anyone admits, and the rules are never spoken aloud. What's happening here isn't random. It's not fate or chemistry or luck. It's strategy, cold, deliberate, and ancient. And no one understood this better than a man who lived 500 years ago, a man whose name has become synonymous with cunning, Niccolo Machiavelli. You know him as the author of The Prince, the handbook for ruthless power, but what if his principles, forged in the cutthroat courts of Renaissance Italy, hold the key to something far more personal? What if the game of winning a woman's heart, or her mind, follows the same rules as conquering a kingdom? This isn't about love songs or fairy tales. It's about the raw, unfiltered truth of human desire, where smart men, the ones who win, play a game most would call dirty. Not because they're cruel, but because they understand something primal. Attraction isn't about being good. It's about being effective. Why does a man who seems to have it all, charm, looks, success, still lose to the one who knows how to wield power like a blade? Why does the nice guy finish last, while the one who breaks the rules walks away with everything? There's a contradiction here, a puzzle that's both infuriating and fascinating. And the answer lies in the mind of a man who saw the world not as it should be, but as it is. Machiavelli didn't write about romance. He wrote about power, how to seize it, how to keep it, how to bend others to your will. Yet his ideas translate to the modern battlefield of attraction with chilling precision. The man in that leather chair, the one who commands the room without saying a word, isn't just lucky. He's Machiavellian. He knows that to win a woman's attention, her desire, her loyalty, you don't appeal to her heart. You appeal to her instincts. You don't chase, you strategize. And the game he's playing, it's not fair, it's not kind, but it works. What you're about to hear isn't a guide to manipulation or a call to abandon morality. It's an exploration of why the world of attraction rewards those who understand power's unspoken rules. Over the next hour, we'll dive deep into the strategies that make men irresistible, not through wealth or beauty, but through mastery of the human psyche. We'll uncover the psychology behind why women are drawn to men who seem to play by their own rules, why emotional dominance trumps affection, and why the tactics that feel wrong are often the ones that win. This is the dirty game of attraction, seen through the lens of a philosopher who knew that to succeed, you must embrace the world's shadows. Let's step into them. Machiavelli's world was one of betrayal, ambition, and fragile alliances. A prince who trusted blindly was a prince soon dethroned. His philosophy was simple. To win, you must understand what drives people, not their words, but their desires, fears, and weaknesses. In the realm of attraction, this translates to a brutal truth. Women, like all humans, respond to power. Not the loud, aggressive kind, but the subtle, magnetic pull of a man who knows what he wants and how to get it. Consider the man in our opening scene. He doesn't fawn over the woman across the table. He doesn't shower her with compliments or rush to fill the silence. He lets it linger, knowing that discomfort is a weapon. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a prince who deceives always finds men who let themselves be deceived." In attraction, this means understanding that people, women included, are drawn to those who project certainty. A man who hesitates, who seeks approval, signals weakness. A man who commands, even quietly, signals strength. This isn't about being a tyrant. It's about mastering perception. Women aren't drawn to men who beg for their attention. They're drawn to men who seem to have the world at their feet. The Machiavellian man doesn't chase. He positions himself as the prize. He knows that desire is born in scarcity, not abundance. If you're always available, always eager, you're a commodity. If you're selective, elusive, you're a rarity. And rarity breeds obsession. Take a man like James, a 30-year-old lawyer I met years ago at a networking event. He wasn't the loudest in the room nor the best looking, but when he spoke, people leaned in, women especially. He had a way of listening, not nodding eagerly, but with a slight smirk, as if he was judging the speaker's worth. When he approached a woman, he didn't flatter her. He asked questions that made her reveal herself, her ambitions, her fears. By the end of the night, she was chasing him, not because he was charming, but because he was in control. James wasn't born with this. He studied it. He understood that attraction is a game of power, and he played it like a master. Machiavelli would approve. In The Prince, he advises rulers to be both the lion and the fox, fierce when needed, cunning always. In attraction, this means balancing strength with subtlety. You don't dominate a woman's emotions by shouting or boasting. You do it by understanding her mind better than she does. You anticipate her moves, her doubts, her desires, and you shape them to your advantage. This is the first lesson. To win a woman, you don't appeal to her heart. You appeal to her instincts, and instincts are ruled by power. Why do women fall for men who seem to break every rule of decency? The answer lies in evolutionary psychology, a field Machiavelli never knew but instinctively understood. Women, like men, are wired for survival. In the ancestral world, a man who could protect, provide, and dominate was the one who ensured survival. Today, those instincts linger dressed in modern clothes. A man who projects dominance through confidence, charisma, or calculated indifference triggers a primal response. This isn't about physical strength, it's about emotional strength. A woman doesn't want a man who crumbles under pressure, who seeks her approval at every turn. She wants a man who seems unshakable, even if he's flawed. This is why the bad boy archetype endures. He's not attractive because he's cruel. He's attractive because he's fearless. He doesn't bow to social norms or beg for acceptance. He takes what he wants, and that raw confidence is intoxicating. Machiavelli's insight here is stark. People respect what they fear. In attraction, fear doesn't mean terror, it means awe, the sense that this man is a force, unpredictable yet controlled. A study from the University of British Columbia in 2018 found that women are more likely to be attracted to men who display dark triad traits, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, not because they're inherently evil, but because these traits signal high status, resourcefulness, and emotional resilience. The man who plays the dirty game isn't a villain, he's a survivor. Let's return to James. At that networking event, a woman named Claire approached him. She was sharp, successful, used to commanding attention. Most men fumbled around her, trying to impress. James didn't. He asked her a single question. "What's the one thing you're afraid of losing?" It wasn't a pickup line. It was a challenge. Claire hesitated, then answered honestly, revealing a vulnerability she hadn't planned to share. From that moment, James held the upper hand, not because he tricked her, but because he understood her psychology. He knew that women, like all humans, crave connection, but they respect the man who makes them earn it. This is the second lesson. Attraction isn't about being liked, it's about being respected, and respect is born in the tension between desire and restraint. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." In the game of attraction, this translates to emotional dominance, not cruelty, but the ability to steer a woman's emotions without being swayed by them. This is where most men fail. They let their feelings, lust, insecurity, desperation cloud their judgment. The Machiavellian man doesn't. He remains the eye of the storm, calm while others spiral. Emotional dominance starts with self-control. You can't lead someone else's emotions if you're a slave to your own. This means mastering your impulses, resisting the urge to text back immediately, to agree too quickly, to reveal too much. A man who's always available is predictable, and predictability kills desire. Instead, you create a rhythm of push and pull, giving just enough to spark interest, then withdrawing to fuel longing. Take the story of Alex, a client I coached years ago. He was infatuated with a woman named Sarah, a co-worker who seemed out of his league. He'd shower her with attention, compliments, favors, constant texts. She was polite but distant. I told him to stop. For 2 weeks, he went silent. No texts, no calls, no seeking her out. When they crossed paths, he was polite but brief, his focus elsewhere. Sarah noticed. She started initiating conversations, asking why he'd been so quiet. By the 3rd week, she was chasing him. Alex hadn't changed his appearance or his job. He'd changed his energy. He'd become unpredictable, and that shift flipped the power dynamic. Machiavelli would call this maintaining the initiative. In war, the side that controls the tempo wins. In attraction, it's the same. You set the pace, the tone, the stakes. You don't react to her emotions, you shape them. If she's upset, you don't rush to fix it. You listen, you acknowledge, but you don't bend. If she's distant, you don't chase. You mirror her distance, amplifying it just enough to make her question herself. This isn't cruelty, it's strategy. Women are drawn to men who can handle their emotions without being consumed by them. The 3rd lesson: emotional dominance is about leading, not reacting. You don't win a woman by solving her problems. You win her by being the one she can't figure out. Machiavelli understood that power isn't just personal, it's social. A prince's strength came not just from his own actions, but from how others perceived him. In attraction, this means mastering the social landscape. A man who wins women doesn't just charm one person, he commands the room. Social dynamics are a chessboard, and every person is a piece. The man who plays the dirty game knows how to position himself as the king, not the pawn. This starts with social proof, the perception that you're desired by others. Women are acutely aware of a man's status in a group. If others respect you, laugh at your jokes, seek your attention, she will too. This isn't about being the loudest or the most popular. It's about being the one who matters. Consider a man named David, who I watched work a crowded party like a conductor leading an orchestra. He didn't dominate conversations or boast about his achievements. Instead, he moved deliberately, engaging with key people, men and women alike, building alliances with a nod, a laugh, a well-timed comment. When he approached a woman, she already knew he was someone worth knowing, because the room had told her so. David wasn't the richest or the best looking, but he was the most connected, and that made him irresistible. Machiavelli's advice here is clear. A prince must avoid being despised and hated. In social settings, this means avoiding neediness or aggression. You don't cling to one person, nor do you alienate others. You cultivate a reputation as a man who's valued, not just by women, but by everyone. This creates a halo effect. Your desirability compounds because others desire you. The 4th lesson: attraction isn't just about her. It's about the world you build around her. A man who commands respect from others commands her attention by default. Let's address the elephant in the room. Is this manipulation? Is playing the game, as Machiavelli would, inherently wrong? The answer depends on your intent. Machiavelli didn't advocate cruelty for its own sake. He advocated effectiveness. In attraction, the dirty game isn't about deceit or harm. It's about understanding human nature and using it to your advantage. The tactics we've discussed, projecting power, mastering emotions, leveraging social dynamics, aren't lies. They're amplifications of what already works. Women aren't fragile creatures who need protection from strategy. They're players in the game too, often better at it than men. The woman who laughs just a little too long at your joke, who touches your arm just a moment too briefly, she's not naive. She's testing you, gauging your strength, your wit, your control. The dirty game is dirty because it's honest. It acknowledges that attraction isn't pure or fair. It's a battlefield where instinct trumps intention, where the man who plays smart wins over the man who plays nice. But there's a line. Machiavelli warned that a prince who goes too far, whose tactics breed hatred, loses everything. In attraction, this means balancing cunning with integrity. You don't lie or coerce. You don't break hearts for sport. You play to win, but you play with respect. The fifth lesson. The dirty game works because it's rooted in truth. Women want men who understand the world's rules and bend them without breaking them. Effectiveness, not ethics, is the currency of attraction. We've traveled a long road from the flickering tension of a crowded room to the cold pragmatism of Machiavelli's philosophy. What ties it all together is this. Attraction is a game of power, and smart men win by playing it deliberately, not because they're cruel, but because they're clear-eyed. They see the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. They understand that women, like all humans, are drawn to strength, mystery, and control, not because they're shallow, but because they're human. This isn't a call to abandon kindness or sincerity. It's a call to master yourself, to wield your energy with purpose, to become the man who doesn't just want, but wins. The man in that leather chair, the one who held the room without trying, he wasn't born that way. He learned it. He studied the rules of power, practiced them, refined them, and so can you. The transformation starts with a shift in mindset. Stop seeking approval, stop chasing, start leading. Project strength not through words, but through actions, calm, deliberate, unshakable. Understand her psychology, not to exploit, but to connect. Build a presence that commands respect, not just from her, but from the world. This is what makes a man irresistible. Not his wealth, not his looks, but his ability to navigate the chaos of human desire with the precision of a strategist. Machiavelli's world was brutal, but it was honest. So is the world of attraction. The dirty game isn't about being the villain, it's about being the victor. It's about understanding that love, like power, is won not by chance but by choice. Choose to play smart, choose to play well. If this hit you hard, if it made you see the game of attraction in a new light, don't just sit there. Hit that subscribe button and join the thousands of others who are leveling up their lives with this channel. Drop a like if you're ready to play the game smarter, and let me know in the comments, what's one tactic you're going to try today? Maybe it's holding back that eager text or commanding the room at your next social event. Share your thoughts, your stories. Let's build a community of men who don't just dream, but win. And if you want more insights like this, check out the video linked in the description for a deep dive into mastering social dynamics. Don't wait. The game's already started. Play it.